Welcome to the Executive Protection and Secure Transportation Podcast, brought to you by the International Security Driver Association. The ISDA represents all aspects of the executive protection profession from all parts of the globe. Whether you are exploring a career in executive protection, new to executive protection or secure transportation, honing your expertise, or an established security executive, ISDA offers its members benchmark educational, networking, and marketing programs. Hello, and welcome to episode 156 of the Executive Protection and Secure Transportation Podcast. I'm your host, Larry Snow. This week, the topic is winter driving. I know, it isn't winter yet, but the days and nights are getting cooler, and just a couple of weeks ago, here in the New England area, we had our first snow. So winter will be here before you know it. We felt it was the perfect opportunity to discuss winter driving and secure transportation. Other drivers may have the option not to drive in winter weather, but not driving in icy and snowy conditions is not a luxury that most security drivers have. No doubt, driving in winter conditions can be challenging for all, including the security driver. An interesting metric from the ISDA Executive Vehicle and Secure Transportation Survey, 70% of survey participants drive in winter conditions. This number aligns with the national United States average. These are some facts and statistics that support the dangers of driving in a winter environment. 17% of all vehicle crashes occur during winter conditions. There are about 156,000 crashes annually due to icy roads. Weather-related vehicle accidents kill more people annually than large-scale weather disasters. It takes up to 10 times longer to stop on snow and ice than it does on dry pavement. Freeway speeds are reduced by 3% to 13% in light snow and 5% to 40% in heavy snow. Each year, 24% of weather-related vehicle crashes occur on snowy, slushy, or icy pavement, and 15% happen during snowfall or sleet. More than 116,000 Americans are injured, and over 1,300 are killed on snowy, slushy, or icy pavement every winter. Over 70% of the nation's roads are located in snowy regions, which receive more than 5 inches or 13 centimeters average snowfall annually. So from the statistics, we're going to transition over to talking about the misconceptions of the capability of all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive. So driving in any form of driving, including winter driving, is a balance. For decades, we referred to that balance as the security driver triangle. The triangle is made up of 3 components: the driver, the machine, and the environment. When measuring driver capability, you cannot separate the vehicle from the driver. Both contribute, along with the environment, to the driver and the principal's safety and security. A skilled security driver understands the effects that changes in the environment have on the vehicle-driver combination, and they work to anticipate changes in the vehicle behavior and are ready to maximize all of the vehicle's capability. They know the driver in winter conditions significantly decreases the vehicle's capability. The security driver understands the characteristics of various vehicles and their limitations, any vehicle, including all-wheel drive. There is a misconception of the capability of all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive in winter driving conditions. Most of the confusion comes from misinformation seen on TV ads about all-wheel drive vehicles. In one ad, the announcer talked about driving on black ice. He mentioned that if you press the correct buttons or switches on the vehicle, you solve the problems created by driving on black ice. This is pure BS. Keep in mind that black ice is defined as a road covered with ice. Unless the vehicle he is selling can alter the laws of physics, driving on black ice is dangerous and a challenge. No matter what the TV ads show, no all-wheel drive or four-wheel drive system will make up for a decrease in adhesion. When ice, snow, etc. creates less adhesion between the tire and the road, the vehicle's capability to go, stop, and turn is greatly diminished. A quick definition of all-wheel drive and front-wheel drive are in order. All-wheel drive refers to automatic four-wheel drive systems where the vehicle selects two- or four-wheel drive based on road conditions. In slippery conditions, power is automatically directed to individual wheels with the best traction. This is especially helpful for getting out of snowed-in parking spots or tackling unplowed roads. However, the driver should keep in mind all-wheel drive does little to aid turning and braking on snow and ice. The problem is that most four-wheel drive, all-wheel drive drivers think they have a vehicle that can defy the laws of physics. No matter what vehicle the security driver is in, stopping on snow and ice will require up to 10 times the distance as stopping in normal conditions, and driving onto an off-ramp during black ice or winter conditions will require a lot less speed than usual, and the driver will have to anticipate that lower speed before they get to the off-ramp. The science of winter driving. If you're an ISDA certified driver or have attended an old Scotty School or Vehicle Dynamics Institute training program, you have been trained and measured to use 80% of the vehicle's capability. That means that you can apply 80% of the vehicle's weight pushing on the center of gravity of the vehicle, either in a braking scenario, turning scenario, or a combination of braking and turning. But when driving from dry conditions to ice, like black ice, the traction to maneuver your vehicle decreases by 65%, so you suddenly have gone from an 80% driver to a 15% driver. This means you can only use 15% of the car to go, stop, and turn. Not a pleasant thought. Let's use the science of driving and work the numbers to illustrate the danger of driving on ice or inclement weather. Consider that you are driving a Suburban that handles at 0.85 Gs, which means it can absorb 85% of the vehicle's weight, pushing on the vehicle's center of gravity. So if you are driving a 6,000-pound Suburban that can handle at 0.85 Gs, under normal conditions, meaning no snow or ice, when you move the steering wheel, the vehicle is designed to absorb 5,100 pounds. And you get the 5,100 by multiplying 0.85 times 6,000, and that 5,100 pounds is pushing on the center of gravity. And as an 80% driver, you can apply 4,000 pounds, which again, we multiply 0.8 in this case, times 5,100 pounds to the Suburban center of gravity, and life will be good. Exciting, but good. Let's create a scenario where you're driving a 6,000-pound Suburban that handles at 0.85 Gs. And again, that 0.85 Gs means that it can absorb 85% of the vehicle's weight, pushing on the vehicle's center of gravity. And you move from dry conditions to icy conditions. Again, using the science of driving, the following is an explanation of why you and your principal's life is about to get exciting. Who, we must keep in mind, pays you to drive him or her safely and securely. You are now driving a vehicle that has gone from being able to absorb 0.85 Gs on dry conditions to be able to accept only 0.3 Gs or 30% of the weight of the vehicle on the icy conditions. The 0.3 Gs represents a 65% loss in your car's handling. So now, in a matter of tenths of seconds, you are driving a car that went from 0.85 Gs now down to 0.3 Gs. Quick arithmetic tells us you can apply 1,800 pounds to the center of gravity. Once you get past that number, refer to the get exciting mentioned earlier. There is more bad news if you're an 80% driver. Consider that you share that icy road with a substantial number of average drivers. The average driver, as we've talked about for decades and in previous podcast episodes, can use only 40 to 50% of the vehicle's capability, which translates to that they can apply only 720 to 900 pounds on the Suburban center of gravity before they slide off into the snow, hopefully not taking you with them. Consider this. If you have attended a Scotty School or Vehicle Dynamics training program in the last 10 to 15 years, imagine that you cannot drive through the slalom course at a speed greater than 25 without losing control. That is the difference between driving on ice and driving on dry pavement. Again, for those who have taken our training, we ask you to go back to the driver's equation. If the coefficient of friction between the tire and the road surface is low, you only have two options. You can decrease your speed and limit your steering. But since you may have to use the steering to drive onto an off-ramp, your only real option is to lower your speed. So let's wrap it all up here in a quick summary. No four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive system will make up for the 65% decrease in traction. If there is less adhesion between the tire and the road, the vehicle's capability is greatly diminished. But using some simple math, consider that when you are driving on icy roads, the coefficient of friction is very low, so having the capability to use 80% doesn't mean much because 80% of 0.1 is still a dangerous scenario. That's not to say that all-wheel drive is not useful in bad weather. It might be enough to get the vehicle up snow-covered hills and get the vehicle moving from a stop position where two-wheel drive would not accomplish that. Although this has been said many times and many ways, stopping on snow and ice may require up to 10 times the distance as stopping in normal conditions. You can't beat the laws of physics, so the only way you can survive driving in these conditions is to keep the speeds down. That will bring us to the end of another episode of the Executive Protection and Secure Transportation Podcast. I hope you will join us next week for another episode. Show notes for this episode are available at the securitydriver.com website. If you haven't done so already, make sure to subscribe to the podcast in your favorite podcast app. And if you've been listening for a while, let us know what you think by leaving us a review on Apple or Google. If you enjoyed this week's podcast episode, we invite you to check out the International Security Driver Association. The ISDA is a valuable resource for all practitioners working on the protection profession. We offer benchmark educational, networking, and marketing programs. Access to the Encyclopedia of Executive Protection and Secure Transportation, the ISDA Knowledge Center. The knowledge shared encompasses a wide range of executive protection and secure transportation-focused topics with resources, information, and metrics. For more information on all the member benefits, head on over to isdacenter.org.